Happy Friday, North Texas. I'm Scott.
And I'm Alicia.
Today is Friday, November 8th, and we've got a good show for you today, guys.
You know it, Scotty. First up, in the wake of the 2024 election, we're going to revisit our YouTube series, The Lab, to hear about how changes in technology have impacted the way media covers the presidency. Then, we've got our next Eagles Abroad interview with a student who called in from Pamplona, Spain, the home of the running of the bulls. And then, we'll talk to the winningest coach in Mean Green history, John Hedlund, who recently earned his 400th win as head coach of the women's soccer team.
400. That's a lot of winning.
Dog, you did the interview.
Busted, yeah. But before we get to all that, you know what time it is.
It's time to catch up. Scotty!
What's up?
We made it through Election Day. How are you feeling?
You know what? I'm just glad that I'll be able to watch sports without getting bombarded with political ads. So I'm going to take that win and enjoy it for as long as I can.
You know what? Same. I just feel like football just doesn't hit the same when I'm not literally being fed food commercials during my dedicated football watching time. But before we get too far out from the election, we wanted to share this audio from our YouTube series, The Lab. For any listeners who don't know, The Lab features UNT researchers talking about some of the incredible work that they're doing. In this episode, Professor and Associate Dean of the Mayborn School of Journalism, James Mueller, talks about the ways media coverage of the presidency has evolved with the advent of new technologies like the internet and social media.
Has technology changed how the media reports on the presidency? My research at UNT focuses on media history, particularly the press and the presidency. The past 25 years, the relationship between the press and the presidency has really changed, largely because of the advent of new technologies. Bill Clinton was considered, a very modern president. He was one of the younger ones to hold office, but he actually had kind of the idea of building relationships with reporters. Each president learns from the previous administration and kind of builds on what they do. So, of course, the Biden administration is going to use social media influencers on TikTok to reach specific groups of people. We live in an increasingly opinionated culture, and so I think that has hurt the old idea of objectivity. Journalists need to maintain objectivity in order to maintain credibility. And one of our jobs at UNT's School of Journalism is to prepare the next generation of journalists on how to handle the technology, how to cover politicians from the president to the local level. I mean, there's nothing more important than we do at the school. Thanks for joining me today in the lab. Check out the playlist in the description to see more videos and hit that subscribe button.
Can you imagine what elections must have been like before the internet? Researching candidates, checking your voter registration, making plans to vote early. These are all internet tasks.
Scoodle, let me remind you. I was born in 2000. I literally can't imagine what anything was like before the internet.
You just wait until I tell you about Movie Phone.
Honestly, I think I'm good living the rest of my days not knowing what that is. Moving on. Please tell us about this Eagles Abroad segment.
So for this interview, I spoke to Addie, who's double majoring in journalism and Spanish. I talked to her in the spring while she was doing a semester abroad in Pamplona, Spain, home of the running of the bulls. She didn't have to evade any livestock, but she did experience one of my greatest fears, losing your passport while traveling internationally. And have you ever traveled abroad before this, or is this trip your first time out of the country?
I've traveled abroad, but only in our hemisphere, so never to Europe.
Nice. Part of why I wanted to do this is to make the study abroad more kind of accessible, and for any students who don't think they can make it happen, that there are ways to make it happen. So to that end, did you happen to get any kind of financial aid or assistance to pay for this experience?
Yes, I had some scholarships going into it, like some regular scholarships, but then the financial aid office also awarded me a study abroad scholarship, so that really helped.
And what made you want to study abroad?
Well, I've been learning Spanish for quite some time. So I was thinking I would do sort of one of those 1 month long programs in the summer that UNT offered. But this opportunity kind of just fell into my lap. And I think most people like the idea of being able to live, for 6 months in Europe. So I thought, why not? But yeah, so
Cool. And where are you exactly? Is it pronounced Navarra?
yes, it's like the province of Navarra.
Oh,
P- Pamplona is the city.
okay, Pamplona. I don't know my European geography. Is that near like Barcelona or Madrid? Like where kind of geographically are
It's
you in Spain?
it's about 6 hours from both of those. It's the north of Spain. I think I might be an hour or so from France, but it's actually where they do the running of the bulls. I found out. So
Oh, nice. That's fun.
yes.
How long is this program and how long have you already been there?
So the program, it started early January and it ends in May 24th, I believe, or May 18th, maybe somewhere in there. But they do have this thing in Spain where if you fail your first exams, you can take without like penalty exams in June. So it
Okay.
it depends.
And so you mentioned journalism major with concentration in advertising and also a double major, right? Also Spanish?
Yes.
Okay. So what are you studying there? Are you just doing like Spanish foreign language courses or are you studying anything else over there?
Yeah, so I actually got in on the communications program. So I'm taking courses related to that. One is like a critique class, like of culture and stuff. I'm also taking a couple Spanish learning courses, and like a judicial journalism course. So it's pretty widespread.
Nice. And what's the program structure like? I assume with it being like a semester, like how many courses are you taking? Are you with like anybody else from UNT or just other study abroad students? Or are you in classes with students who are doing like their full university in Spain? How does all that work?
Yeah, so I'm taking 6 classes, but their credit system is different. So basically, I think 2 of their credits is one of ours, so you can take more classes.
Hmm.
So it worked out for me as 6 courses. So I'm actually taking even my non-language learning courses in Spanish. So I'm paired up with other Spanish students in those courses that are just getting their full 4 year degree there. But in my Spanish learning courses, almost all of them, or I would probably say all of them, are other international students. As for UNT, I found out I am the only student from UNT here, and as far as I'm aware, the only one from North Texas.
Next question, you kind of answered this, but if there's anything else to add about like how what you're studying there or how specifically studying this in Spain will relate to your degree program or what you want to do in the future for like your career.
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped a lot. Again, with the Spanish learning, you just being immersed in Spanish has really been the best thing for that, and it's really encouraged me to really pursue and become fluent in Spanish, as well as meeting so many other international students. I have a whole list of languages I want to learn now. And yeah, as for journalism, it's not directly related most of the courses, but I do think it has kind of strengthened my writing skills in general, which is something I've really wanted to do.
Nice. I was also a journalism major. I'm curious, I can only I did German as my foreign language and everyday sense of like, man, Spanish would have been really useful in Texas. Uh,
Yeah.
do you have a specific idea of what you want to do after you graduate college? Like what kind of work you want to do?
Yeah, for a while I was like copywriting, in the advertising industry. But I've sort of, even at UNT, I've sort of broadened my horizons a bit, and as well as here, more just writing in general. So whether that's copywriting or if I decide to go the traditional journalism route, just anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. What has been the biggest surprise about your experience so far?
It's kind of a difficult one. I would say one surprise is that everyone in Europe speaks English, and I did not know that. I did not expect that, and it's actually really funny because there is hundreds of international students here, and that's really who I've been spending time with more than Spanish students. And
Mhm.
all of them kind of complain that in Navarra, they're like, no one speaks English. And I'm over there, I'm like, yeah, but like so many people know more English than people would say Spanish and certainly German back in the US. So
Yeah.
um, in other countries even I've traveled to, they even speak more English, and that's just been really surprising.
Yeah. Makes it a little easier to get around though, hopefully.
Yes, yes.
What has been the biggest challenge, whether it's, trying to get everything lined up and make like actually get the trip planned or, logistically getting there or anything once you've gotten there? What's been the biggest challenge for you so far?
Well, yeah, definitely getting everything in order, all my ducks in a row when it came to the visa, and because I didn't decide to do this program till August of last year, and so that just gave me a few months to completely change my life, for 6
Yeah.
months. That was definitely it, and then I would also say being here, it's taking the classes in Spanish has been probably the most challenging thing, certainly academically. Of trying to do that because the teachers they speak really fast and it can be very difficult to understand at times. So it's been a challenge, but I came for a challenge, so I've enjoyed that.
Nice. You mentioned, making the decision in August, and obviously that's just a few months to get it all put together. Was there anybody or any office in particular, whether it's in study abroad or in one of your majors, who was just super helpful in getting all this and helping you make it happen?
Yes, I cannot remember her name, but I believe she's over all of study abroad. Yeah, I can't recall her name, but as soon as I found this program online, I scheduled a meeting with her, and I was kind of like, well, it's just not going to happen. I can't go live in Spain. And after that, like 15-minute meeting, I was like, oh shoot, like I think I'm going to Spain. Um, she was just very encouraging. She really helped.
Yeah. What's been the best part of this experience for you?
Ooh, the best part. I think experiencing a new culture, not just one culture, but many cultures, meeting other international students, I would say has really been the best part. It's been easier to get connected than I would have expected, and so I've had a lot more social events than I ever would have thought, especially since that wasn't exactly what I did back home.
Yeah.
So I think just the connections and learning about all this over here has been the best part.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on this a little bit with that answer, but if there's anything else to add, how has this trip impacted you beyond just like the educational experience of it?
I would say it's definitely made me more confident, being able to get settled in a new country on my own because I do live with my parents back home. So here I'm like completely on my own, and
Yeah.
being able to navigate life here, I think, has given me confidence that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be taken back to UNT and Texas with me.
Nice. Out of curiosity, have you been able to do any other traveling and get to any other countries? You mentioned you're just an hour from France?
Yes, so there's actually this really cool like business organization here called Happy Erasmus, and they organize trips for Erasmus students that are, for pretty cheap. So I've been going places mostly within Spain, but France, as well, almost every weekend, either day trips or overnight trips. And then some of my family actually came up to see me over the spring break vacations and holidays.
Nice.
So we kind of did a tour of Europe as well.
Awesome. And you said Ra did you say Rasmus students?
Yeah, Erasmus. I think that's the term for like, study abroad over here. Like
Okay. Okay.
specifically for European students, I think they're Erasmus students.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. I hadn't heard that term before.
Yeah, neither had I.
Yeah. For any students who are thinking about, the idea of study abroad and think maybe it's out of reach or they can't make it happen, or is it worth trying to make it happen? What advice would you have for them?
I would say it's really a once in a lifetime experience. So if you think all be possible to just go for it. And even, my mom had said, when I'm trying to get the visa all set in and the application sent in, she was like, even if it doesn't work, this has already been an adventure in and of itself. So I think, at least if you try, you can know that you tried. But if it's finances or anything like that, especially if you already live on your own, it's really not that much more expensive, and flights were significantly cheaper than I had expected. So it's really not as far out of reach as you would think.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Even if it doesn't work out, it was still a learning experience.
Yes, definitely.
And then last question, any other fun stories from your trip that you'd like to share, whether it's, some of the social events you talked about, or doing something with your family when they came to visit? Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, kind of a funny story, but it was certainly terrifying at the time, is I did lose my passport in
Oh,
Barcelona.
no.
Yeah, that was the worst feeling when I looked in my purse and it was not there. And I was with my family, and I was so excited to show them, like, look, I figured my way throughout Spain, and I was giving them a tour. And I lose my passport in Barcelona. And so it kind of was interesting trying to get through, because we had this whole trip planned through Europe. So trying to get to other countries, but not going to go into that one. But it did end up working out, because after my family left, we ended up in Venice, Italy, and they flew out from there. And I was flying back to Barcelona to take a bus to Pamplona. And I get an email saying they found my passport. So
Oh,
I was already going to Barcelona, stopped there, picked it up from the police station, and was on my way back to Pamplona.
well, that's lucky at least. That's a happy
Yes,
ending for it.
very, very nice.
All right. Thanks for your time, Addie. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. It was so great talking with you.
Oh my gosh. That passport story nearly gave me a panic attack.
I know, right? I'm a grown man, and I would have just curled up in a ball and started crying. Guess I just live in Spain now. Whatever. So glad that worked out for Addie.
Barcelona PD for the win.
And thank goodness they got her passport back, because since returning from her trip, Addie has joined our division as one of our fabulous student workers, and she's been a great addition to the team. I didn't even connect those dots. One of our other student workers, Anthony, who helped edit these interviews, was like, hey, this one works here now, right?
No way. That's actually hilarious. Don't you just love it when those connections are made?
Oh, and before I forget, we want to give a quick shout out to Amy Schenberger from the Study Abroad office. Addie couldn't remember her name during the interview, but looked it up when she got back and wanted to make sure she got her thanks. Check the show notes for a link to learn more about our Study Abroad program.
All right, Scott. You're pulling double duty again. Show off. Just kidding. Tell us about your interview with Mean Green women's soccer head coach, John Hedlund.
Yeah, I really enjoyed getting a chat with Coach Hedlund because he's celebrating a couple of major milestones recently. First of all, this is his 30th season as head coach after founding the women's soccer program back in 1995. Alicia, how old were you in 1995?
Like -5.
That's so weird. On top of that, Hedlund also earned his 400th career win at the end of September. So I talked to him about his major milestones and how the soccer program and UNT overall has grown over the last 3 decades. Coach Hedlund, first off, thank you for taking the time to join us for the podcast today. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
So I want to start off by saying congrats on the 400th win. Obviously a huge milestone. I saw the pictures where the whole team was wearing the GOAT T-shirts with the 400. Did you know they were making those, or was that a surprise?
No, I mean, a lot of it was a big surprise for me. Obviously, the confetti afterwards, and the GOAT T-shirts, and even dumping the big, Gatorade jug on me. I mean, somehow I always get fooled by that. After we win a title, I'm walking over to shake the coach's hand, and here come the kids, and they just dump it on you. So I was pretty naive that night. That night was kind of crazy because it was senior night, and I was really pushing, for the seniors to get a really good win, obviously. But everything kind of came together with the 400 wins and then doing it all at home, which was really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, every win is nice, and obviously the 400 is good, but to do it with a 6-0 win that's a big win.
Yeah, and we didn't get to play Temple last year, and we started out a little bit slow, but man, the goals started to really come, and when you're up 3-4-5-0, you can kind of just sit back and just make your subs and try to get the whole roster in.
Yeah, nice. Coaching for 30 years now. Obviously, you've been at this point for a while where you've been coaching longer than the players on your team have been alive. Has that ever is that something that's ever crossed your mind? Like, man, that's great. Like, he's been doing this longer than they've.
Yeah,
existed.
I mean, when I started the program out in '95, obviously I didn't know I was going to be here that long, and it's really rare for any sport for a coach to be at one place for 30 years. So I've always loved it here. This place has really grown. Facilities have gotten great. So we started winning the program right from the beginning, which was right cool. And then it's just like, hey, let's keep this thing going. And the championships started to come. But I think where you start to feel your age is when you start to coach players that you had on the team. Now you're coaching their kids, which is like, oh my God. I mean, you get some of those kids that come to your camp, but when you're starting to coach them at the college level, that's when it kind of hits you. So
It's a little surreal.
you start to see your age there.
It's fun. I was trying to look back and talk about what brought you to UNT and to Texas in general. I know you played at Midwestern in college. Did you graduate from Plano High?
Plano High.
Okay, nice.
One high school at the time.
Yeah, that was a lot. That's also grown a lot.
Yes.
So I know you played with the Sidekicks, and you started coaching while you were still playing with them.
I was playing with the Sidekicks from '86 all the way to '93, and then I was actually coaching up at UNT around '92, '93 with the men's program as an assistant under Dr. Lowe. And then they started a program in 1995 on the women's side, and I kind of moved over and did that.
Yeah. And how did that opportunity to come to UNT, obviously you were in the area, how did that opportunity come about to start coaching at UNT?
Well, my degree was in criminal justice, and so I kind of went that route coming out of college and so forth. I was still playing with the Dallas Sidekicks. But experimenting with my degree in criminal justice, didn't really care for it. And I thought, my wife was saying, why don't you try to get into the coaching and see if you like coaching and so forth. So I knew Dr. Lowe, Dr. Richard Lowe. He was the head coach at UNT for the men's side, and he recruited me. I decided to go to Midwestern, but I always lived in this area and so forth. And he said, hey, we actually have a spot open for an assistant. Why don't you come up? We'll talk. And it was an incredible experience for me because Dr. Lowe gave me all this, all these duties, how to run a budget, running practices, travel, gear. So I learned so much under him really on how to run a program right from the beginning. And then once we decided to start a program here at UNT in '95, I took that experience and brought it into the women's program.
And that was you kind of answered one of my other questions was, did you always know you wanted to coach, but you said you were interested in criminal justice first, and your wife kind of talked to you?
Yeah, so, I knew I couldn't play forever. Yeah. Played about 8 years with the Dallas Sidekicks. We won 2 championship rings, and so I was really proud of that. But for me, I wanted to be around the sport. I wanted to, if I couldn't play anymore, I wanted to at least try coaching. And then, I started the coaching process, and I really liked it, the recruiting and everything that went with it. And I said, I think this is for me. So, when I had the opportunity to start the program in '95 on the women's side, basically I was just like, okay, we got a really good club team here. Let's try to get some of those kids over here, get a nucleus of players, start to build that program. Just hit the Dallas-Fort Worth market pretty hard, which I've done to this day, and try to grow something special. So a lot of that experience I got on the men's side, I brought it over to the women's side, and that's where a lot of the success came from.
So 30 years, 400 wins. You've seen obviously the program itself grow and change a lot. The facilities, the university itself grow and change a lot. You've outlasted a lot of presidents and,
Yeah.
and athletic directors. Through it all, any like super standout memories for you?
Well, it's been crazy because I've probably had about 4 or 5 ADs, 3, 4, 5 presidents, a lot of presidents as well. So, the 400 is special to me because it's all the players that came and decided to put on the green and white. So that's special, That's not just about me as a coach. That's about all the players that really contributed and put in the sacrifices and won a lot of championships in that time period as well. So that's important. Just being at UNT and just seeing the way that the whole campus has really grown, has been incredible. Mm-hmm. Not just, from the athletic department, but from academics and all the great majors that we have and all the beautiful buildings we have and the campus and so forth. Mm-hmm. I mean, when we have people that come back that actually played in 95, 96, 97, they can't believe how much this campus has really grown. And it's a beautiful campus. So there's a lot for me to sell for this campus. And then facility-wise, I mean, we were playing at so many places. We started at Fouts Field, and that stadium's no longer there, and we kept progressing, and now we've got a great facility of our own and so forth. So much change in 30 years, but again, so proud of the 400 wins, and if I get one more win this year, which we will, we'll have 30 consecutive winning seasons, which is going to be a nice feat as well.
Very nice, yeah. Is it hard? I know in athletics and coaching, you kind of just got to think about the next game, the next task at hand. Is it hard to not think about like the next milestone? Like, are you targeting 500 wins in 40 years?
It really is, because you're always looking like this week we've got Rice coming up, which is a big rival of ours. We have to go down there. So I never look at the big picture, the numbers as far as 500 and so forth. I mean, even 400, as I started to get really closer, my administration started to let me know, hey, you're only 6 shy, you're only 5, you're only 3, hey, if we beat Tulsa on the road, we can do this at home and get your 400. And I think the girls really wanted to win that game at Tulsa so they could do something special at home to get the 400 and have it on senior night, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice when those things line up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, those are all my questions. Thanks again for taking the time, Coach.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you. I really enjoyed it, and go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Talk about bleeding green. Coach Hedlund's a real Mean Green OG.
For real. And as a sports fan, the fact that he's never had a losing season in 30 years is insane.
And as an up-and-coming sports fan, I am in fact quite impressed myself.
Check the show notes for a link to a write-up I did about Coach Hedlund and the Fall North Texan, and congrats to Coach Hedlund on the team on another winning season.
Like I say every episode, go Mean Green. Time for our Q&A segment. Scott, hit me with a cue.
You got it. With finals just around the corner, students are about to be hitting the books hard. So our question today is, what was your go-to snack or drink to fuel up for a marathon study session?
Well, since you asked, my go-to snack was apples and peanut butter. Nothing else really got the brain going, like a little salty sweet action.
Okay.
However, if I was feeling jazzy, I would exchange the PB for cookie butter, and then my brain would really be pumped to study for hours on end. How about you, Scotty?
I've never been a super big snacker, but I've always had a sweet tooth, so I probably would have grabbed a big old bag of peanut butter M&Ms or something like that. And then, of course, you've got to caffeinate, but I never liked coffee.
Yeah.
So back in college, my body was almost entirely propelled by Mountain Dew and Monster energy drinks. Super healthy. 4 out of 5 doctors recommend.
Nice. All right. Well, now that you know our secrets to successful eating, I mean studying, we want to hear all about yours. So email us at podcast@unt.edu or call us at 940-565-4341.
And as always, don't forget to tell a friend about the show, share it on social media, or leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. Until next time, we hope you have a happy Friday, North Texas.
And go Mean Green.
Happy Friday, North Texas is a production of the University of North Texas. Today's show was produced by Scott Brown with editing by Scott Brown and Anthony Simone, and original reporting by Scott Brown. For more information, visit unt.edu/podcast.
Did I say that wrong?
You said
the most.
The most winningest.
I mean, that's kind of funny. The lab features UNT researchers talking about some of the incredible work they're doing. I just cracked my knuckle. Wow, I feel so superior.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah. No way, that's actually hilarious. Don't you just love it when those connections are made? Ew, that sounded so fake. I sounded so... No way, that's actually hilarious.
You want to do it again?
Ew. That sounded so Gen Z. I'm so sorry, y'all.
You are just...
I know, but like I'm a cusper. Come on.
A cusper? What's a cusper?
Like I'm like almost not a Gen Z.
Oh, okay. Like I think I'm technically like an elder millennial. Is that kind of thing?
I'm an elder Gen Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Hoozles.
Do you want to do that line again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you ask me, as an up-and-coming sports fan, I am in... That is so funny. It's so almost like unbelievable. I can't even get
And
through
I
that.
also watch sports.
And I also... Okay.
I might have to go look this up real quick.
So basically, Scott didn't do his homework.
Scott didn't do his homework.
As a sports fan, as an up-and-coming sports fan, I'm pretty disappointed in you.
Oh, God.
Come
One
back.
take.
Come back. Well, that was wonderful.
Yeah.